All right, good morning, everyone. My name's Taylor Thomas, co-director of East Yard Communities for Environmental Justice.
Hi, everybody. I'm Laura with East Yard Communities for Environmental Justice.
And we're here to do a retrospective of East Yards and talk about all the amazing work that we've done together. We're going to start with the statement that we made when we became co-directors.
I can start. Statement from East Yard's co-executive directors. We are so appreciative of the love and support that our communities and East Yard Communities for Environmental Justice has given us. Upon starting at East Yard, our knowledge of environmental racism, pollution, and health impacts that surrounded us was limited. We stand now as examples of East Yard's leadership development and investment in our hoods.
We are so excited that East Yard members and the team have entrusted us to continue leading this distributive leadership organization. As long-standing friends, we are particularly excited to take on this responsibility together.
This year has brought us COVID and magnified the need to stand with our Black comrades and with racial justice. We do not know what else will come this week, this year, or in the next 10 years. We are fully aware of the challenges to success that come with being Black and brown femmes.
Despite this, our vision to grow East Yard's transformative change centering community is resolute.
This is an exceptionally critical time for us, not only because of COVID, but because organizational transitions sometimes give the impression of internal stability. So community organizations can experience a significant drop in funding during those periods. This fear is heightened for us because as a non-hierarchical organization with a flat pay structure, our organizing and community building model is often misunderstood and not taken seriously.
That said, we appreciate our members, allies, and funders who are part of and champion East Yards, as well as those folks who have thought about engaging with us. We see you, and we invite you to attend our events, come to our community meetings, get to know us and see us in action, because that's where the work happens, and that's where our bonds and relationships with each other are formed.
East Yard will continue to thrive because our co-directorship will continue to center our members as the leaders of this organization. Through our transition, we will be carrying on East Yard's legacy of leading with centering community concern. For us, it is a way of life and a lifelong lucha, and we hope you will still rock with us going forward as we continue to challenge these oppressive systems and fight for the health and well-being of our communities.
La lucha sigue, and we made this almost 6 years ago to the date in September 2020.
All right. Well, that statement, how does it feel to share that statement 6 years later? How do you feel about that?
Well, so we are here talking about my transition out of the organization as a co-director. I think that statement still reflects our vision, our values, our ethos, our ideology, and it's still true. Like we came into this work together. We're still going to be doing work together. The organization is still strong. It's going to continue on, without me in the co-director leadership, but I'm still going to be a community member. And we have a distributive leadership model at East Yards. And so, you could say that me leaving in this position is significant in a way, but in terms of how the organization is structured, how we function, how we center community leadership, I'm just one little bolt in the big machine that is East Yard. So the work is going to get to continue forward. And I think we were visionaries. We could have wrote that last week and it would still be true, So high five.
Yes. I think something that struck with me from the statement was when we talked about it, said we're doing COVID-19 and like uprisings of Black solidarity. And I'm like, damn, a lot has happened. There was a section that said, like, in 1 year, in 5 years, in 10 years, we're still going to be doing this. And in seeing this, right, almost 6 years later, I'm like, we did that, all of that. I think the org has done that, has done all of that, has grown through it, has struggled through it. So I think that really resonated with me also, and just like that, looking back on where we were at that time and how much more we've had to face, our communities have had to face through that time, but that we've gone through it, you know? Yeah.
Yes.
All right. Next question. All right. In what ways did we show up and support each other as co-executive directors, peers, and friends?
Ooh, oh my, that's a deep question.
Yeah,
Eric, what are you doing? I mean, a lot of phone calls, a lot of late night sessions, a lot of car drives with tears and music. A lot of just back and forth troubleshooting together. This is going on. What can we do about it? I think we really functioned as a team. You know, we were really good about peeing ideas off of each other and getting feedback from each other, learning from each other. You know, we don't operate the same way. I've definitely learned how to be more curious from you, how to be more compassionate from you. And I want to say that you learned from me, you know, to hold your boundaries and, you know, center yourself more. And so we've grown and learned and shared and exchanged. And, you know, I think that speaks to us. You know, we worked together prior to being in East Yards together. And I was thinking about it last night. I was like, I can't remember the first time I met you, but it just feels like we've always been connected. Yeah. Like we have been organizing together for a really long time, and it just always felt natural. Like we just fell in and we're just like, all right, we're locked in, we're doing this work together, we're gonna do it, and we did it. And so it's been beautiful. You know, I don't know that my journey up to this date would be the same if you had not been involved in it. So yeah.
Thank you for sharing that. I think everything you said was spot on. I think in terms of what you taught me also, it's definitely been one of those things where I'm like, we're so different. For folks that haven't seen like how we lead together, how we work together, and for folks who have, like, y'all have seen, right, that we're so different, but also like there's a lot, I think for me, first and foremost, like there's a lot of respect in our relationship, you know, and there's a lot of like care that has gone into making sure that we honor each other and that we really listen. I think when you say something and I don't agree with them, like, I'm gonna sit with that. I'm gonna sit with that. And I've seen you do the same. Where you're just like, okay, this is very different from how we would normally do something. And we always figure it out. And so I think like that's been really beautiful to just be in relationship with someone who like honors and respects. There's mutual honor and respect there, you know? Yeah, so that's beautiful.
Yeah. Lots of hair changes.
Lots of
relationship changes.
Piercings and tattoos.
All of that.
All
Animals, pets.
Yep.
You know,
yes. Animals and pets.
A lot of trips.
Yes.
Travels.
More members, more team. We've grown so much that we did not expect. And so we did that together to like just navigate how do we do this in a good way.
Yes.
So yeah, that's been really beautiful. Yeah. Next question. Is there a moment, action, meeting, or event from the last 6 years that has left a lasting impact on you and reaffirms your commitment to the East Yard team, membership, and supporters?
Well, there's a lot of moments. I'm going back to when the pandemic started and we were figuring out how we could use the vehicle that we're in of being in a 501c3 structure to support our community members who lost their jobs, were afraid to move around and use public transportation, couldn't go and get food because of mobility or transportation issues. And we really came together to just like, we don't know how we're gonna make this happen, but we're gonna figure out how to resource people. And so I wanna say, I believe that we were able to stipend folks for certain things. We did a lot of food drop-offs. We helped folks, you know, find work and get alternative forms of money if they needed, you know, to pay their bills. We worked with the cities and county to find resources for folks who had lost jobs and lost income. So I think the way that we rallied around our community members at the same time, we were also struggling with the pandemic. We were having mental health struggles. A lot of us became the sole wage earners in our house because, we were still able to get paid at East Yards. And so just like the personal struggles that we all navigated as a team, that we rallied around each other and were like, okay, we're going to be here for each other and we're going to be here for the community. I think out of that time, and memory's fuzzy because we were putting out fires left and right at that time. But I feel like a lot of that sparked the wellness culture that we have now. Like we started having a lot of mental health talk circles. We started changing the way that we approach work and we approach how we care for each other. Like what is our care culture at East Yards? And so I think that was a really pivotal time for us as an organization to really reflect on how we show up and do this work and how we show up and do care with each other and care as individuals, as people in our families, in our communities. So that's one. And then another one, like when we were all mobilizing last year, the year before, I don't remember.
It's all one long year at this point.
It's been like 2020 for the last 6 years for the AQMD, the Port Indirect Source Rule, right? And we know that AQMD touches all of the areas that we organize in. They impact all of the industries that are in our communities. And just the way that we all were able to consistently mobilize to the hearings and, we had direct actions around that. And it was exhausting because it felt like we were doing something every month and we were not really getting listened to. But we know that the power of our work and base building and community organizing in movement work is that we're working alongside of people who are experiencing the same issues. And so we're building power within each other and within our communities. And so I feel like that, even though we didn't get the policy win as we conceived of it at that time, the collective action that we were able to engage in as an organization and with the Impact Project, our coalition, was really powerful and transformative. And I feel like it built a lot of bonds that we're now seeing show up, with like Big and the Barstow mobilization. We're making connections out there and, cross-connecting across communities and across the region so we can show up for each other in these similar struggles. And so that's been the culture of East Yards, is we're not a single issue organization, but we do center the people who are most impacted. And so I think those actions were just a reflection of the work that has been going on for the past 25 plus years or East Yards has been around. So, yeah. What about you? I'm curious. Do you remember 2020? What was that like? Mobilizing, organizing? Because I know it created a big shift in community organizing. Like, having the direct connections to folks, and then now it's like I can't talk to you, I can't sit with you, I can't be in your house, we can't go to the park and chit chat. It created a barrier that as community organizers y'all had to like figure out how to navigate around.
Yeah, for sure. I think similarly, what's the memory that stands out the most to me was during COVID, and we were specifically just providing resources to folks. I helped coordinate some of the food distribution of fresh fruits and veggies when a lot of the pantry drive-through giveaways of food were just dry food. And so our communities need fresh food. And so to be able to coordinate through La Cosecha Colectiva, the collecting of produce and then redistribution, right? It was work, but it was beautiful and it was important, especially in a moment, like you said, where folks didn't have jobs. And I remember that. I remember feeling like that was a very powerful moment, but it was also like, this is a moment that puts to the test, like what we always say we do and how we do things. And so I think that was a really beautiful moment of just meeting the moment. I think we're still post-COVID recovery, right? Particularly doing hybrid and building relationships and all that. But I think it definitely, Something else that strikes me is the virtual piece and how we've been able to just use technology to our advantage to really like continue to build and grow that, right? So like building off what you said around like big and the ports ISR and all these mobilizations that are cross-regional, cross-issue areas, and being able to connect people to those things, right? Because we're building a movement, and even though East Yard focuses and started because of environmental justice, we totally know that all of these other issues also exist and that we need to organize around them. That community wants to organize around this. So our goal is to give the tools for community to activate however they want to activate. And so I think that has also been uplifted now through a more technology piece. Yeah, so I think those are some of the standout moments for me. Yeah. All right, next question. Okay, these are really good questions, team. What advice or wisdom would you share with your younger self as you reflect on your growth as both a movement leader and as an individual? I told you.
Well, I'm still young.
Yes.
I'm still
Younger.
young.
We put
younger. Oh, wow. Well, I've learned a lot of lessons, and most of them I learned the hard way. I would tell my younger self that I belong. I would tell my younger self that my anger is justified. I would tell my younger self that my experience is valid. I would tell my younger self that my knowledge is valid. I would tell my younger self that credentials are cool, but they're not everything, and you're just as smart as someone with a lot of letters behind their name. I would tell myself sometimes you gotta grill up the beef and eat it instead of continuing a beef. Sometimes we gotta set the beef aside to get the work done. I would tell myself that pausing is never a bad thing. And I would tell myself that I'm never alone in this work. And there are always people around me that I can connect to, that I can organize with, that I can commiserate with, that I can build with, who love me and share my values. Yeah.
Take a deep breath after that. And little Taylor is here with us, doing the things, living the things. So we love to see it. We love to see it. All right.
You know we're not going to skip past that question. Come on now. Come on now.
I'm not transitioning out of the work.
What? Yeah, but younger Laura, she needs to hear the
yes.
affirmations, you know? She
Yeah,
needs
yeah.
to hear the wisdom.
Yeah. Okay. What advice or wisdom would I share with myself? I think, I would share that my community is always with me. And I think like my community has held me, and I also got to do the work, and I've been doing the work. And I think that's really important of taking responsibility for yourself and how you're feeling. And I think I've done a lot of growing in that area, to just be responsible and be accountable, and also know when it's not my responsibility and know when I'm not accountable and that's not for mine to take. I think that goes into the boundaries and all that you've taught me, right? And the care for myself and prioritizing my well-being. So I put my mask on first, right? So I can help others. And I think that's something that I've learned a lot through this work, where I tend to be a people pleaser, right? And so the idea of I can still please people, but how do we do that in a work where you need to be sustainable, particularly in this type of work, particularly in work that is really heavy, that is rooted in community, where we're already handling multiple campaigns for environmental justice, but then we also have like our personal things. We have immigrant rights issues coming up. We have like gender issues coming up. Like so much is happening in our communities, and our community members, our friends, right, are impacted. And how do we show up for them? And I think like understanding where I can make space and push myself to do those things, but then also be like, I need to take some time for myself, I think is something that like little Laura wouldn't do, or younger Laura wouldn't do, you know? I would just push through. And so that's been really like a humbling experience to be like, all right, I have to stop, because if not, my body's going to stop me. My mind is going to stop me. My homies are going to stop me because they're going to tell me and they're going to check me in the most beautiful way. So that's for sure been beautiful to see. Yeah. Yeah. All
I'm
right.
proud of you.
Thank you.
Little Laura's proud of you too.
Yeah. Yeah. Little us are killing it. All right. Next question. After being part of East Yard for 12 years, when did you realize that you were ready to transition to the next chapter of your life?
Ooh, Okay, I don't know if there was a single moment, but I I liken it to this experience that Moana. Have you ever seen Moana?
Yes.
Okay, so I love Moana. Love that movie. And I rewatched it some point this year, and she loves her island. She loves her people. But every time she goes to the ocean's edge, she feels like a call. She doesn't know what the call is. She doesn't know where it's coming from, and she doesn't even know what she's supposed to do about it. But there's something that's pulling her to the ocean. And so, I've definitely been a lot more reflective in the past year. At a certain point, I'm looking around at the organization, I'm looking around at our team members, and I'm seeing all of the growth that our team has had. I'm seeing people being able to facilitate, lead meetings, initiate contact with community members, maintain relationships with community members, go to meetings with legislative officials, politicians, organize direct actions and mobilizations. And I'm like, there was a time where you and I had to be with people all the time to facilitate that. And that's not the case anymore. And there was a time when you and I were building so much of the internal behind the scenes infrastructure all the time. And we're working with the team to address everybody's issues and managing campaigns. And, to a certain level that still happens, but not to the extent that it used to. And so I'm like, the organization is fine. It's functioning, I don't feel like I'm necessary for the organization to function the way that it needs to function. And when I made that realization, it was like, okay, maybe now's a good time to transition out. Because we had been planning for our transition out of the co-directorship for the past year and a half, It was just figuring out, like, when does it feel like the right time where we're not going to disrupt the flow of the organization. And so once I had a little period of reflecting, and I was like, everybody's fine. I know I'm loved and I'm wanted, but I'm not needed for the organization to flow and continue what it's doing. Then I was like, okay, this feels like a good time to transition, and it's a time where we can plan still for my transition. We can plan for the continuing of the flattening of our roles within the organization, because East Yards has never been a traditional 501c3. We don't consolidate power in the directorship. We do our best to distribute the leadership, distribute the responsibility, distribute the roles. And so I feel like this is a time where we can now make that transition again, like we did when we came into the co-directorship. So it was just a feeling that I had that I was like, I think sometimes we can get stuck with making a decision. And I was telling my partner last week, like, there are ethically and morally wrong decisions. But for the vast majority of the decisions we make in our life, there's really no right or wrong. There's only the best choice you can make in that moment. And the universe is not going to punish you for making a choice. You just make a choice and the universe will work around it. And so there was a fear of, like, if I leave, what's going to happen? Are they going to, I'm going to leave Laura with responsibility. I'm going to leave them with responsibility and woo-woo. And it's like, no, like, we'll be fine. Yeah. Y'all will be fine. The organization will be fine. I don't know what I'm going to do after this. I'll be fine. Everybody's going to be fine. Just make the decision and move forward, and the universe will work it out. And the universe has been working out. So,
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. I think it definitely just resonated with me to hear you say, like, the right time, right? And the idea of, like, there is no right time, but there are better times. And I think you're right. I feel the same way, where it's just like, I am really grateful for you listening to that calling and stepping back and being like, we're good. Like, there's a lot of power in this space, through the membership and the leadership, and how much we've grown in the last 6 years, to feel like we're in a good space where, like, we got us. And that way we still got you, but you can go through that, whatever that is, whatever that ends up becoming, and still be in a relationship in that way. Yeah, so that's beautiful. Ready for another deep one? All right. Yeah. The question is, what impact do you believe you have made on East Yard? And what impact has East Yard had on you?
Well, I'll ponder on that. Shout out to Crucita's little shameless plug for the local business. Oh, well, East Yard completely changed my life. It completely changed my life. I joined as a community member, not with a whole lot of intention. I had a homie who organized a meeting about air pollution. He worked at East Yards. And he invited me out to the meeting, and I was like, I don't care what you're talking about. Well, I'm born and raised in the west side of Long Beach, so it was relevant to me, but I'm just like, I'm in my early 20s. I'm just trying to figure out how to pay these bills. Like, I don't know what you're talking about. Don't care. But, the homie, I'm like, I'm going to do you a favor. I know it's important for you to have people at these meetings, so I'm going to go. And then learning about environmental justice, learning about air pollution, learning that the things that were in and around my community were causing a direct negative health impact on me and my community, and that people are organizing to change that. That was the key piece. Like, don't tell me that something's wrong. Don't just tell me something's wrong. Tell me what we're going to do about it. And that was a really pivotal point in my life, because at that point I was considering going back to school. I just wanted a regular 9-to-5 that could get me out of poverty and get me someplace to live. I could be self-sustaining. But learning that I could make a difference in my community. And not only that, I could make a difference with people who lived in my community. And it wasn't, this big organizations that we see on TV, like Red Cross or PETA, people who, the causes are worthwhile. But you don't see those people in your community, right? You don't see that impact at the ground level. And so that one meeting completely changed how I saw the world. And it opened up my eyes to what it meant to community organize and build with other people and be a participant in shaping your neighborhood. And so many years later, East Yard still had molded me. I kind of felt like, those early years after I became an intern, and then I joined the team as a research and policy analyst. I had no experience doing what I was doing, no training. And I came in under Angelo's wings, and he was kind of like, look, you're going to learn by doing the things. And I was like, You didn't give me no manual. You didn't give me no handbook. I ain't got no training, no nothing. Just go to the meeting, go to the hearing, do the presentation. Like, So those first couple years were rough, but it taught me that we can learn to do anything, you know. And then seeing other people from similar communities like Jesse, you know, Jesse Marquez, rest in peace. Little brown boy from Wilmington, no formal college education, became one of the most foremost experts on zero emission technology, right? A legal expert. He never went to law school, but he could argue down and submit comments with the best of them, you know? Interacting with folks like Maria Reyes, regular mom from the West Side, you know, living her life, taking care of her children. Her daughters start to get sick, you know, when they're playing outside, when they're exercising. I think one of her daughters was in cross country. She started to get nosebleeds, right? And so she looks around like, what can I do about this? Learns about eShards, becomes very involved and knowledgeable about air pollution and health impacts. So much so that she is one of the key people that stops the Southern California International Gateway Project, right? So it's molded me. eShards has exposed me to so many things that I wouldn't otherwise be aware of. It has taught me so much about myself, about movement work. It's allowed me the opportunity to leave my community and travel to other places that I wouldn't otherwise know about. I wouldn't have the opportunity to visit. And it's taught me a lot. It's taught me a lot. I feel kind of like it was like, I didn't grow up in a big family, but it felt like a big family, right? And you have, you know, your siblings that are just gonna like tussle and rumble with you. You know, they're gonna bully you a little bit, but they're also gonna love on you. They're gonna teach you. And then you have your elders, your uncles, your aunts that are gonna take you under their wing. You know, they might offer you some things on the side that you can't really have in the public, but, you know, it's all still like out of love. So it's been a family and a home that I needed, especially when I was younger and I didn't really have a place to go. So I'm very appreciative of eShards because I feel like it is a core part of my identity to have been in this space. And the impact that I've made, I'm not sure. I don't know. You know, what I hope I've made is that the same way that I was activated in this space, that I've always also was able to activate others. The highest compliments that I've been paid is like, you know, after I've done a presentation or, you know, I've shared some of the research or policy things that we're involved in with community members. And, you know, they'll tell me that was easy to understand, that it was helpful. And now that they want to go and activate on that. I think that's the impact that I hope is that I've been able to light bulb people the way that I've been light bulbed in eShards.
Yeah. That was so beautiful. I think I definitely resonate with the family piece of eShard. And just this being, right, I say this all the time, right? This is my chosen family because I don't have very much family here that I'm able to just like, I can lean on anybody, whether it be the team or members, to just be down to like provide me a meal or just, you know, when I'm not even asking for a meal, right? Show up with matcha when they know I'm tired, you know, things like that. Or like even just the knowing what you need sometimes before you know what you need. And I think that's what has been really beautiful. Like that's the type of deep relationships that we hold at East Yard. So that really resonated with me. And I think, and I'm here to tell you what impact you left at East Yard, because I'm just like, yeah, it's definitely harder for us to measure for ourselves, right? Sometimes the impact we have, and I'll share, like in our co-directorship in particular, like you have been critical to like having us move with intention. I move fast and hard and ready, and some of the people on the team move hard and fast and ready, and you're just like, hold up, let's think this through. Let's double back. Let's be very intentional. Where does this fall within the landscape of East Yard? Where does this fall within the landscape of our community? And that's work that one only happens when you do your own work. And so because you've done your own work, you've been able to integrate that into East Yard and share those offerings with East Yard. And so I think definitely grateful for that piece. I think one of the biggest pieces that I think we've been able to accomplish together, and I could not have done without you, has really been the internal stabilization of East Yard, right? The idea of the not fun stuff, right? I'll say everybody wants to community build, but ain't no one out here doing the books and the accounting and the structures and the stuff. That's real. And I think we've been able to really fortify East Yard in an internal way that's been very, very important. Things that neither of us were necessarily ready for, but down to do. I'll share with that I'm you're down to squabble up. I think that's something that you definitely offered East Yard. There's been moments as the peacekeeper that I can be sometimes where I'm I don't want this conflict. And you're we got to do it. Let's go, And so I think that's been really powerful to see your leadership in our engagement of policy, and also the way you've handled being able to take lead in policy, and you're just I know what it is, because you stay connected with community, even when you're in DC, even when you're in Sacramento, even when you're at Moving Forward Network or National Networks conferences. So to continue to uplift, that's so powerful that you continue to be so grounded and connected to community when you're up in these big areas. And I have to say, I think something that I really honor, and I've shared with other people too, that I really honor about you and the work that you've done at East Yard, has been the way you so graciously maneuver and handle all of these really affluent, patriarchal, white spaces that are policy spaces, because that's what they are. And that's not fun. Some of us, when we turn out to public hearings and members and team are this is really hard, this is overwhelming. People that are in the space that don't care. And I'm Taylor does this all the time. I was Taylor shows up all the time to spaces like this, where it's hostile, where it's aggressive, where it's just mean, to not just to you, but to our communities, right? The way they talk about them, the way they make decisions for us. And you've been able to hold that with so much love, grace, and care, without ever coming back and being man, this person, da 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 da. You do this so graciously, and you're just okay, well then what's the next move? And so I think I've said this to other people, but I actually don't know if I've said this to you, so I just wanted to name that to you, because that's really important work. Yeah. Yeah.
Can I get a hug?
Of course. It's going to be a sad and beautiful time when you let go, but I'm excited. Yeah. Okay.
That was great.
Any closing thoughts for the video camera, for the public, for the
Closing thoughts. I'm gonna miss the moments of working together.
Mm-hmm.
I know you'll be all right without me, but it's wild to think about how much we've been through. I hope this video will be able to find some pictures from us back in the day. Yeah. But just seeing how we were when we were younger, we had shorter hair, we looked a little different, and the work looked very differently 12 years ago than it does today. And I'm just thankful. I couldn't have done it by myself.
Same.
So I'm glad that it was you.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that it was us. And I hope they don't run you ragged, these little rascals in our organization. But I've appreciated every moment. You've inspired me so much. You inspired me to go to therapy. So all that work I did, that was in part thanks to you. And I've grown and learned a lot from you. You are such a powerful leader And I'm so proud of you because I've seen you grow. I remember the times you doubted yourself. We never doubted you. We never doubted you. You have been the anchor for East Yards, the glue. I might be using it wrong. I'm not going to say madrina. I think I'm using that wrong. Not the mom.
The madrina, yeah. The
Madrina, but not the mom.
The Nina. The madrina.
What does that mean?
Madrina is like the godparent. Like the
Yeah, like a fairy. Like a fairy,
Godmother.
right? Yes. So you come in with the magic, but also like the Whitney Houston Cinderella godmother, fairy godmother, like the real. You know, I'm not just gonna wave the wand and be like, "Hey, all right, now we're gonna do some sprinkling, okay?" You know, East Yards would not be the same without you, and I'm very thankful that we went on that journey together, and I'm excited for whatever's gonna happen next.
Oh. Look at that.